Good morning from the CBS This Morning Toyota Green Room. I'm Dana Jacobson, and I'm here with two guests. Gary Vaynerchuk, who is over here to my right, also known as Gary V, after turning his father's local liquor store into one of the first e-commerce platforms for alcohol in the United States. He went on to create a multi-million-dollar digital advertising agency. He's a 5-time New York Times bestselling author and has more than 8 million followers on social media and no free time.
Zero.
Now, he also serves, I say no free time, because he also serves on the board for Pencils of Promise. And this is a nonprofit that helps build schools for communities across the globe. And this is our second guest. That's where it leads us. Pencils of Promise CEO Tanya Ramos. Thanks, both of you, for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So give us some sense. I gave you a very basic idea of Pencils of Promise, but what does Pencils of Promise do?
We are an organization that is building schools around the world, in Ghana, Laos, and Guatemala. I like to say we started off as a school build organization, but we've evolved. Now we have innovative programming touching close to 100,000 students around the world.
Gary, what was it about this organization that made you say, I need to take my non-spare time and put it here?
You know, the founder, Adam Braun, is an unbelievably dynamic individual, and when we met over our common interest of the New York Jets.
Did they win or lose again? No, I'm just
kidding. They lose more often than they win, unfortunately, but that's the best part of it. But nonetheless, it was just so unbelievable for me at this time, this was 7 or 8 years ago, watching young people start taking a path where they were in the process of giving, even though they had all these business opportunities, instead of the cliche thing that I grew up with, which is you go and you build and then you give. And I was so inspired by that. I was also unbelievably inspired by the fact that for me, it wasn't ironically education, even though I was an immigrant from the former Soviet Union. It was entrepreneurship that changed the course of my life. However, in places like Laos or Guatemala or Ghana, there's clearly a need for what we do as a stepping stone to a disproportionately different life. And so for me, anything that is an engine that can advance your happines is super interesting. And building actual schools. I mean, I don't think just people that are watching don't understand. These are kids learning under a tree.
Because I think a lot of people will say, well, they're kids in the U.S. that need resources and help, so why are you taking them? Why are you doing this overseas? 489 schools. So for those people who say, why are you doing it there? It is because they're learning under a tree.
Absolutely, and because we need to know that we live in a globally interconnected world, and that every child, regardless of the circumstances that they're born into, regardless of the issues that they're facing in their respective country, they deserve to be educated. And we want our children around the globe. 250 million children are unable to read and write. And we want to see that change in our lifetime.
And it opens so many doors. I mean, you think about that, just that basic ability.
By the way, real quick, and I apologize.
No.
If I could write a check for $25,000 and build a school in America and change the curriculum inside of it to actually be valuable in a 2019 world, I would do that too.
And that's what it costs overseas. That's $25,000.
That's why, and it's a little more, and I know
there's a range.
There's a range, but like the punchline is those were the checks that I was writing for the first schools when I joined POP. But
making an impact.
Right.
The reason you can't do it in America is because the maturity of the system and the bureaucracy and politics that go along with it.
Right. And at least have a difference and make a difference. As you said, it's a global community that we live in. You have an impact there. For people that want to have an impact, forget the check for $25,000. Some people maybe can't write a check.
$25 is exciting to me.
I couldn't agree more. We have our Seasons of Promise, which starts November 15th. So if you log onto our website, www.pencilsofpromise.org, you can donate at any level. We also have a passport program. So folks that are interested in donating, again, different levels, they can put their donations on autopilot.
And what about, I mentioned your social media followers.
Yes.
Is that a way to, if you can't give, start tweeting about it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, look, I think what Adam showed me through his actions was I definitely had in my mind when I was in my early 30s that I would go and earn and create this amazing thing, not only for my family, but for my friends, and eventually then I would make impact on the world. This was pre all the things that have happened to me, so nor was there an audience, nor was there money. But what became very clear to me was, oh my God, I could be giving all along the way. And so if you're watching right now, and the only thing you can give is following Pencils of Promise on Instagram, well, that matters to us because your eyeballs may mean something one day.
Agreed.
And by the way, $7 matters. Like if that's what you can give. And I think, listen, we live most of the people watching right now, which is thank God, live in abundance. Like there's a complete misunderstanding what happens when you live in a world where you can afford a $5.85 coffee every day.
Or you're watching on your smartphone, which costs you how much?
$1,000. And so, I think there's a lot of people watching who don't know what it feels like to donate for the first time just $10. I don't think they understand the high. Some might not. Some may go to the pencilsofpromise.org right now, donate $10 and be like, Gary was wrong. That brought me no value. But I think for a lot of people, they would be blown away by the actual feeling. And so it's not about the size, it's about you actually have empathy and compassion for other human beings. Right. And I think this is something we need to be pushing now more than ever.
I was thinking about the number of schools that I mentioned. Do you guys have any sense from those first schools that you opened? Because you said it is basic education, reading and writing. Right. How some of those kids that started in these first schools are doing now, and the impact that you've had on not just them, but the communities around them?
We have a number of students that we track now that we've hit the 10-year mark. We had our birthday on October 31st.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. We have a number of kids that are now in secondary school, so we're going to have an opportunity to really see that impact, the continuity of that impact, if you will. Over the course of the last 10 years, we've had innovative programming. We have a digital e-reader program. So children in Ghana have access to culturally appropriate, age-appropriate reading at their fingertips.
Right.
So much impact.
Gary, for you, and I said it sort of jokingly, but I think spare time and when you have the ability to do something like this, of all the things you have your hands in, and obviously this is different than your business.
Of course.
What's the most challenging thing for you?
In a macro?
In anything that you've got your hands in really right now.
Prioritization. When you're just doing a lot of things, when you have a family, when you have ambitions, when you have responsibility of 900 employees, when you sit on boards, when you want to feel good before your last breath, there's a level of excitement. I'm actually not anxious of it. I don't judge myself. I know what my intent is, and I'm trying to do good in all facets. And so it's just one big game of juggling, and I think the best jugglers here are capable of understanding that some of the balloons, some of the bowling pins hit the ground, and that's okay because the net is I'm holding up 800 balls, and if 37 fall, I have to go and spend some time to apologize.
Right.
But in reality, I still have 770 balls going in the air. I think that is, I think of life as a net game, and so the biggest challenge is just scratching the itch or putting the hole in the leak.
Stop the leak at the time, yeah.
And I think if you're capable of not judging yourself and leaning into what your intent of that process is versus where you're perfect at it, you can get into a very happy place.
Give up on perfect. It's the same idea as you're saying, instead of having to give $100, give $10,
Absolutely.
give $7. It makes a difference.
Oh my God.
You said it was the Jets that brought you to this organization, and I loved this in reading about you. You want to own the Jets.
Badly. Yeah, I was born in the Soviet Union. I came to America. When I moved to Edison, New Jersey, a bunch of boys outside were playing football. It was clearly the thing that made me welcomed because I wanted to play too. And the Jets in 1982 really represented a very big thing to me.
Right.
I haven't missed a snap of a New York Jets game since 1982.
Impressive.
For you.
And I'm not talking
And that has
DVR.
not been easy. As a Lions fan, even I know, it has not been easy.
And this is not DVR stuff. This is when it's been played,
Good
I'm
for
watching.
you.
So it's a big passion. And I've come to realize just back because we've talked a lot about life.
Yeah.
It's an escapism for me. It's the one place where all the other important stuff that I spend 99% of my time on, for those 3 hours, I don't care about anything. But
we definitely appreciate the time from both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We just want to let people know if you want to get involved for Pencils of Promise, and I know you mentioned this, you can visit pencilsofpromise.org.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go now.